Imagine discovering a single plant that survives every empire, every war, and every civilization. For over 12,000 years, humanity has carried this plant across continents, making it one of the oldest companions in our history. At the end of the last ice age, humans were no longer just hunters. They began exploring the land around them, searching for plants that could help them build a new way of life. One wild green plant quickly caught their attention. Near rivers and fertile valleys, early families planted its seeds alongside their first crops. They had no idea this simple decision would begin a relationship lasting thousands of years. Season after season, the plant proved remarkably reliable. It grew quickly, survived difficult weather, and returned harvest after harvest, becoming a trusted part of everyday life. Its strong fibers were twisted into ropes that could pull heavy loads and survive harsh conditions. For ancient people, this wasn't just another plant, it was an essential tool. Soon, those same fibers became clothing. Families learned how to weave durable fabric that protected them from cold weather and lasted much longer than many other natural materials. Its nutritious seeds also became an important source of food. During difficult seasons, every calorie mattered, and these tiny seeds helped communities survive when resources were scarce. As villages grew into thriving settlements, this versatile plant appeared everywhere. Fishing nets, baskets, ropes, clothing, and countless everyday tools quietly supported the growth of early civilization. Thousands of years later, ancient Chinese scholars carefully recorded their medical knowledge. Among the many herbs described in their writings was cannabis, already recognized as a valuable medicinal plant. Traditional healers experimented with different herbs to ease pain and treat illness. Cannabis became one of many natural remedies passed from teacher to student across generations. As trade expanded, merchants carried far more than silk and spices. Along dusty caravan routes, seeds and farming knowledge traveled with them, introducing this remarkable plant to distant cultures. From East Asia into Central Asia, the plant spread naturally through trade and migration. It wasn't forced upon people. Communities adopted it because they discovered useful purposes of their own. Every stop along the trade routes became an exchange of ideas. Farmers shared cultivation techniques, while merchants introduced new materials, allowing knowledge to spread just as quickly as goods. Different civilizations found different uses for the same plant. Some valued its fibers, others its seeds, while certain communities began incorporating it into important ceremonies and traditions. By now, cannabis had become much more than a simple crop. It had quietly woven itself into the story of human civilization, preparing us for an even more fascinating chapter hidden beneath ancient burial sites. High in the mountains of Central Asia, ancient communities gathered to honor their dead. These ceremonies weren't just about saying goodbye, they believed they were helping loved ones begin a new journey. Thousands of years later, archaeologists carefully uncovered forgotten burial sites. Every brush of dirt revealed another clue, slowly bringing an ancient world back to life. Inside the graves, researchers discovered ceremonial stone braziers once heated until they glowed red. Aromatic plants were placed on top, filling the air with thick rising smoke during sacred rituals. For these ancient people, smoke symbolized the connection between earth and the heavens. As it drifted into the sky, they believed it carried prayers, memories, and respect for those who had passed away. Far across the endless Eurasian grasslands lived the Scythians, legendary horse riders feared for their speed, courage, and unmatched skill in battle. A Greek historian named Herodotus traveled through these lands and carefully recorded what he witnessed. Among the Scythians, he observed unusual ceremonies unlike anything he had ever seen before. Inside enclosed tents, heated stones filled the space with thick smoke as warriors gathered together. To outsiders, it seemed mysterious, but to the Scythians, it was an important cultural tradition. For centuries, many historians questioned whether Herodotus had exaggerated his stories. Then, modern archaeology uncovered frozen tombs containing the very same ritual objects he had described. The discoveries matched his writings with remarkable accuracy. Sometimes history sounds unbelievable until science uncovers the evidence buried beneath the ground. Away from ceremonies and rituals, ordinary families depended on hemp every single day. Strong fishing nets helped provide food for growing communities living beside rivers and lakes. Craftsmen transformed tough hemp fibers into massive ropes capable of pulling heavy cargo, lifting building materials, and supporting countless daily tasks throughout ancient society. As larger ships explored distant seas, hemp became one of their most valuable materials. Thick ropes and durable sails helped sailors survive dangerous journeys across unpredictable oceans. Trade routes stretched farther than ever before, linking civilizations across continents. Along these routes traveled not only goods, but also technology, farming knowledge, and cultural traditions. What made this plant truly remarkable was its versatility. One civilization used it for clothing, another for rope, another for food, and another as part of sacred ceremonies. As history moved forward, humanity's understanding continued to evolve. Ancient traditions slowly gave way to scientific investigation, opening a completely new chapter in the story of this extraordinary plant. In modern laboratories, scientists began studying cannabis with tools far more advanced than anything ancient civilizations could have imagined. They weren't looking for myths, they were searching for evidence. As researchers explored the human brain, they discovered something unexpected. Our bodies already contain a complex communication system that helps regulate mood, memory, sleep, appetite, and pain. Even more surprising, scientists found that certain natural compounds in cannabis could interact with parts of this biological system. It opened an entirely new field of medical research that continues today. Suddenly, ancient traditions and modern science seemed less like opposites and more like two chapters of the same story. Questions that healers asked thousands of years ago were now being investigated inside high-tech laboratories. Meanwhile, across Europe, hemp had become one of the most important industrial crops of its time. Entire fleets of sailing ships depended on its incredibly strong fibers. Without durable hemp ropes and canvas sails, many famous voyages across the world's oceans might never have been possible. Exploration wasn't driven only by brave sailors, it also relied on practical materials. When European settlers reached North America, they brought hemp seeds with them. For many early communities, it was simply another useful crop needed for everyday life. Colonial workshops turned harvested hemp into rope, cloth, sacks, and heavy-duty canvas. From farms to ports, the plant quietly supported trade, transportation, and daily work. But as the world entered the industrial age, new machines, synthetic materials, and changing economies transformed agriculture. Society was changing faster than ever before. During the early 20th century, public attitudes shifted dramatically. Newspaper headlines and political campaigns created growing fear, turning a familiar plant into the center of national controversy. Governments debated new laws, while public opinion became increasingly divided. What had once been viewed as an ordinary agricultural crop was now discussed as a serious political issue. Scientists continued calling for careful research, while others demanded stricter regulations. The conversation became more emotional, and opinions often moved faster than scientific evidence. As decades passed, different countries reached different conclusions. Some introduced strict bans, others allowed medical research, while a growing number began reconsidering older policies. Today, researchers around the world continue studying cannabis to better understand both its potential medical applications and its possible risks. The scientific story is still unfolding. After 12,000 years, one thing remains remarkable. The plant itself has changed very little, but humanity's understanding of it has changed again and again throughout history. For over 12,000 years, civilizations have risen and fallen, borders have changed, and empires have disappeared. Yet this single plant has remained part of the human story through it all. An ancient farmer and a modern scientist may live thousands of years apart, but both ask the same question: what can this plant teach us? That curiosity has never disappeared. Across different cultures, people saw different possibilities. Farmers saw a crop, sailors saw strong rope, healers saw medicine, and researchers saw new scientific questions waiting to be answered. Its fibers built ropes, its stalks became fabric, its seeds provided nutrition, and its history became woven into the development of countless civilizations around the world. This isn't simply the story of one plant. It's the story of how human knowledge evolves, where ancient traditions inspire modern discoveries, and science continues asking new questions. History reminds us that every generation views the world differently. What one civilization considers ordinary, another may see as revolutionary. Perspective changes, but history remains. Like the branches of a great tree, human civilization has grown in many directions. Through every era, certain discoveries continue to influence everyday life in ways most people never noticed. Knowledge has always traveled from one generation to the next. Parents taught children, teachers guided students, and explorers carried ideas across continents, allowing civilization itself to grow. The world became connected through trade, exploration, and shared knowledge. Long before the internet, ideas crossed mountains, deserts, and oceans, changing societies one generation at a time. Today, museums and archaeological discoveries continue uncovering forgotten pieces of our past. Every ancient artifact tells us that history is often far more complex than we first imagine. Modern researchers continue studying this remarkable plant with careful scientific methods. Every new discovery adds another chapter to a story that began thousands of years before recorded history. Whether viewed through history, agriculture, industry, or science, one fact remains undeniable: few plants have stayed so closely connected with humanity for such an extraordinary length of time. The story is still unfolding. Future discoveries may answer old questions, challenge long-held beliefs, and reveal even more about humanity's relationship with the natural world. Sometimes the greatest historical stories aren't about kings or battles. They're about ordinary things that quietly shaped civilization for thousands of years without most people ever noticing. So the next time you hear the word cannabis, remember you're not just hearing the name of a plant. You're hearing the echo of a 12,000-year journey that stretches from the first farmers of the Stone Age to the scientists of today. And perhaps its next chapter is still waiting to be written. If you enjoyed uncovering hidden stories from history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which forgotten piece of history you'd like to explore next. Until then, thanks for watching.